episode of Comics Review. I'm your host, Kevin Starkey. The first comic I want to talk about today is The Traveler. This is by Boom Studios. This is issue number 1. This is another one of those Stan Lee comics. He's the Grand Poobah on this one, and Mark Waid is the writer, and Chad Hardin is the artist on this. And I have to say, I wasn't as impressed with this one as I was with the other comic that he's doing, which I will find out what it is really fast here. Oh, this is it right here. Soldier Zero, yeah, that's right. That one's pretty good. This one, not so much. It starts off with this lady. She's talking to her kids on the phone, and she tells the one son to cook dinner for the other one, and then because she's gonna be late, she's not gonna be able to be there, and this guy shows up, some kind of a super villain, and he basically goes after this lady, and then this other guy who's the Traveler shows up to protect her and save her and defeat this super villain. Then they go to another guy who's a bus driver, and he's late to his stop, and this other supervillain shows up and starts to try to go after this bus driver, and then the Traveler guy shows up again and helps him and defeats this other supervillain, and then the cops show up and they think that this Traveler guy is a bad guy, and then the other bad guy shows up and kills one of the cops. I'm not a superhero kind of guy, but I thought I'd give these a try. They sounded kind of interesting. I really wasn't impressed at all with this. The writing was okay. I probably read some stuff that's as good as this, probably a lot better. The art's good, definitely very good. I like the drawings and the color. It's just, I don't know, I didn't really care for the story much. It was kind of cheesy, and I definitely won't be picking that one up, the next one. The next comic I want to talk about is Billy the Kid's Old Timey Odysseys and the Ghastly Fiend of London. This is issue 3 of 4. And I think I've reviewed this one other time for issue number 1. So I've got issue 1, 2, and 3. This is 3. And it's good. This is by Eric Powell and Kyle Hotz. It takes place in London. There's all these, people with some kind of deformities and things. Billy the Kid is part of this team of sort of weirdos. And they're basically trying to track down Jack the Ripper. And they found Mr. Hyde. And at least Billy the Kid thinks that he's Jack the Ripper. But Mr. Hyde, he almost looks like an ape, or orangutan or something. He's not mean, and this lady says no, he's not the bad guy. And you sort of start to get the impression that it's the other guy that he turns into when he's not Mr. Hyde, who you would think is Dr. Jekyll, but it ends up being someone else, who I don't want to give that part away. And it's really strange, but the Mr. Hyde guy always ends up being found at the scenes of these murders of these women, and he's sort of a pathetic creature. I mean, you're almost feeling bad for him. Good art, good writing. It's a very odd story, but I actually kind of like it. It's pretty good. We'll see where it goes with the next one. They want to sort of help Mr. Hyde to keep him from turning back into the other guy. It's really a strange twist, but it's a good story. I think if you like these sort of odd stories, you'll definitely like this one. The next comic I want to talk about is Damaged by Radical. This is a flip issue. The other side is Hollow Point. This is $1 for this issue, which is pretty cheap. It's basically like a number 0 of both of these comics together. The first one I'll talk about is Damaged. This, first of all, it's got great artwork. Everything in here from Radical. It always looks like paintings. Very, very nice. This one's very dark colors. It starts out with this guy who's a Russian mobster. His house is basically some guy shows up, or it looks like it's a bunch of guys, shooting everything up, killing all the guys. One guy gets away, and the cops all think that it's multiple guys. They find one guy who escaped, and he says no, it was just one guy, and which seems hard to believe. And then it sort of leads you to believe that maybe the cops are involved in this somehow, and it sort of ends there. Number one issue is not going to be out until June of 2011, so this is sort of an early peek at a new series. I think it's going to be good. I'm definitely going to add that one to my pull list. And then the other side that has Hollow Point, that one is about a guy who's an assassin. It starts off, you see that he's killed a judge, I think, and he's watching the news report about the judge. And basically, it sounds like this assassin is teamed up with someone through the internet who gives him his assignments of who he's supposed to kill next. And so the next person he's assigned to kill is a priest in Mexico, and he's told that this guy has molested all of these children, and so he's not going to have any trouble, whacking this guy. So he goes down to Mexico, finds the priest, and then ends up sitting down with him. He sort of feels sympathetic for him in some way. The guy seems pitiful. He sits down, and the guy's an alcoholic, and he sits down with him at a bar and has a couple of drinks with him, and basically tells the guy, I'm here to kill you. And the priest is like, I understand. I'm not perfect, and all this. And then it's, he almost confides in the priest and all this, and it seems like maybe he's going to give up being an assassin. And the priest says, I'll pray for you. And then the next thing you know, well, I'm just going to leave it at that. If you want to check it out, definitely check it out. It doesn't tell you in here when the number one issue of this is going to come out, but it says to be continued in Hollow Point number 1. So I'm guessing it'll be in the new year sometime. Definitely check that one out. Both stories really good. I'm going to add them both to my pull list, so definitely check that out. The last comic I'm going to talk about is this is 25 to Life. This is by 12 Gauge Comics, and this is issue number 3 of 3. I talked about issue number 1, I believe. This is by LaSalle, Wagner, and Chastain. That's the story guy, the writer, and the artist. And this story is really strange. It's about some racially motivated murders, and the cops decide that they want to. Well, the main guy that's running the show, he decides he wants to get this racist guy out of jail and use him as sort of a resource to try to figure out who's doing these murders. And because the guy has connections and he knows certain things, and he thinks that he can take this guy along with him and ask him things along the way and get insight and figure it out based on that. And the first 2 issues, I thought, wow, this is a great story. But this racist guy that he takes out of jail is never really any help. I mean, that's you sort of think that he's going to be a big part of the story, and he's basically worthless. In this issue, they the guy almost escapes with his gang member guys, because I guess their gang is sort of set up to look like they're the ones that are doing these racially motivated murders. So the main cop guy, he wants to meet up with that guy's gang, and so they meet up, and then his gang is like, okay, we're gonna break him loose, and you get lost, cop. And then he had a cop buddy planted somewhere who takes him out, shoots the one guy in the hand and then shoots him in the knees and stuff like that. And so basically the guy doesn't get loose. I mean, they just show how stupid those guys are and how smart the cops are. And then when you find out in the end who the real killer is, it's sort of anticlimactic, and it's not that exciting. So this is another comic that ends with me feeling like, kind of a waste. So I would say skip that one if you haven't started collecting it yet. If you have, you're probably going to want to collect the last one just so you can know how it ends. I don't know. I'd say skip it if you don't feel too motivated. And that's it for this week. Please leave a comment here on YouTube or over on my blog at twodognight.net and let me know what you're reading this week. Have you read any of the stuff I reviewed? And I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.